So everyone on the planet is surprised and flabbergasted with what AI applications like ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini, to name a few, are capable of doing and are eager to experiment with it. And I do not blame these guys at all. AI has done a lot and has shown us a lot. But there's a catch. Before we can move on to pushing these AI applications into production mode or even start to get our hands dirty on experimenting with them, it's very, very important to know the security implications and build appropriate security postures into place. According to Gartner, in the first quarter of 2024, AI enhanced malicious attacks were identified as the top emerging risk by 345 senior enterprise risk executives. The ease of access to AI tools for generating malicious code and conducting sophisticated phishing attacks has significantly increased the threat landscape. According to Gartner, 57% of respondents are concerned about leaked secrets in AI generated code, and 58% are worried about incorrect or biased outputs. These concerns underscore the importance of robust security measures to manage AI risks effectively. Looking at these stats and facts, it appears there's an immediate need for building a good cloud security posture and putting security practices into place before making ourselves comfortable with these AI applications. So there's certainly a need to protect your AI workloads before moving into production mode or before even you can experiment with these AI centric applications. So as part of providing you with a bird's eye view or an executive summary of how protection as far as Microsoft Azure Cloud is concerned using Microsoft products is concerned. I present you with this PPT, and it's going to be a short but yet effective 11 or 12-minute video or rather presentation. And let's get started with it. So before we can start with the PPT, I just want you guys to be made aware of something which is called as the MCRA. That stands for Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture. So the Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture is a part of Microsoft's security adoption framework. They provide a comprehensive overview of Microsoft's cybersecurity capabilities and how they integrate with both Microsoft and third-party platforms like Microsoft 365, Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud Platform. So in this slide over here, there's a link that takes you to learn.microsoft.com. And if I click on this link, let me just close the PPT. And if I navigate over to this link here, it gives me a documentation for Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture. And as part of this link, it also includes various PPTs, screenshots, various beautiful infographics, all about security. And if you scroll on a bit, you also have some updated versions of the MCRA, a pre-recorded version of this guidance on YouTube, so you get videos as well, uh, and the various versions of the MCRA, just in short. All right, so let's move forward with the presentation. So let's begin by understanding how exactly a hacker attacks a system and how everything goes south and haywire. So, a common mistake we see is believing that attackers will try to attack an organization based on the security defenses that we have planned for them. So, hackers will choose the path of least resistance. Attackers are intelligent and creative humans, so they will focus on finding the easiest path to their objectives. This requires defenders to focus on a holistic approach to security defense that includes number one, a strong security controls plus effective placement or prioritization of those controls. Number two, rapid response to attacks. And number three, continuously testing and monitoring controls. So the key takeaway here is attackers don't have the perfect knowledge of your defenses, but they generally act rationally based on what they know. So let's take a look at a real example through the lens of an attacker. So attackers will quickly figure out if an organization has next-gen firewalls, intrusion detection prevention systems, and data loss prevention. Now, directly attacking the network is generally a high cost of attack for them until and unless the organization has neglected software updates or configuration best practices for network edge devices. So now, attackers will shift to non-network attacks. They would try to send fishy emails to IT admins and try to gain access from the identity or account that has the most privileged level of access in the entire organization, which is, in this case, IT admins. Or attackers might also try to search for exploits, something like maybe a spreadsheet that stores all of your passwords, etc. Once the attackers gain access to administrative privileges, they exploit the silent access to business systems and data. So now there are types of defenses that would mitigate this common attack pattern. Some of the top priorities are to number one, protect the business critical assets that matter the most to the organization. And number two, the privileged access that allowed the attacker to get access to them in the very first place. Number three, organizations should also focus on hygiene of executing basic security maintenance like software updates, patching, secure configuration, and establishing safe standard processes for IT admins. And number four, last but not the least, organizations must also ensure that operation tools, skills, and processes aren't myopically focused on the network layer. Ensure that you have detections and response processes at the identity, application data, and other layers to have good visibility and rapid response for modern attacks. So now the area that is concerned with sensitive data protection and monitoring would be covered by a Microsoft product and solution, which is called as Microsoft Purview. The part of maintaining or managing privileged accounts and enforcing capabilities and concepts like privileged identity management, role based access control, multi factor authentication, and conditional access would be managed or would come under the umbrella of identity and access management that is implemented by a Microsoft product that is called as Microsoft Entra ID. And the area that is concerned with modernizing security operations and performing rigorous security hygiene checks would come under two Microsoft products, which are called as number one, it's the Microsoft Defender, and number two, it's Microsoft Sentinel. So now the diagram on your screen illustrates key Microsoft technical capabilities for zero trust that enable each element of the zero trust architecture. So you have Microsoft Entra ID, which is a cloud-based identity and access management service for secure resource access. And you also have Microsoft Entra Conditional Access, that is a centralized policy control for authentication, conditions, and data application security. Then you also have Microsoft Defender for Identity that detects on-premises identity attacks using behavioral analysis and specific threat detections with various machine learning algorithms working under the hood. Now let's talk a bit about users and endpoints for devices. So you have Microsoft Intune, which is a cloud-based mobile device and application management service that integrates with conditional access for device security. And you also have Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which provides endpoint detection and response and threat and vulnerability management. You have Defender for Cloud Apps, which provides extended detection and response capabilities for SaaS applications, which can be Google Gemini or various AI applications like Copilot, ChatGPT in this case, and also Shadow IT risk management. You have Defender for Office 365 that offers XDR capabilities, including sandbox detonation, integrated threat intelligence, and attack simulation across various M365 services. You also have Defender for Cloud that simplifies detection, automated investigation, and response for Azure resources. Now you also have Microsoft Purview DLP that implements data loss prevention by defining and applying DLP policies to protect sensitive items across various M365 services, Office applications, endpoints, non-Microsoft Cloud apps, on-prem file shares, and Power BI. And you also have Defender for Cloud Apps and Intune Mobile App Management (MAM) that uses app configuration profiles to deploy or configure apps or unenrolled devices, protecting data within apps when combined with app protection policies. Now you also have Microsoft Defender XDR that provides a unified detection and response platform. And you also have Microsoft Sentinel, which is a cloud native SIEM and source solution that integrates with Microsoft Defender XDR and enables you with threat response. Now let's take a look at the defense in depth architecture. So the objective of defense in depth is to protect information and prevent it from being stolen by those who aren't authorized to access it. First things first, you need to protect and trust your data that you will be using for your AI workload. This is achieved by Microsoft Purview, which is Microsoft's state-of-the-art information protection and governance solution. Next comes the layer of application. So the layer of application is concerned with SaaS software as a service AI apps like Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini. So in this layer, you need to govern various cloud AI apps such as Google Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT. And for this, you have Microsoft Defender for cloud apps that does all the things concerning governing application cloud apps for you. And then you have the layer of compute resources. So you also need to protect your compute resources such as maybe virtual machines, phones, or even laptops. This is done by Defender for Endpoint and Microsoft Intune. Now comes the layer of networking and parameter. So an example could be, protecting this networking and parameter layer. An example could be moving an Azure OpenAI resource inside of a virtual network and performing IP masking. Then comes the layer of identity and access management, which is implemented by Microsoft Entra ID that was earlier known as Azure Active Directory. And this whole architecture could be implemented by solutions such as Microsoft Defender and Microsoft Sentinel for cloud security, posture management, and intrusion detection and response. So the key takeaway here is increasing security resiliency requires looking at the full security lifecycle. Security is simple in concept and is similar to other risk disciplines that focus on avoiding, limiting, or managing a negative event well. So you have left off ban. So what do I mean by left off ban? Before an attack, security must focus proactively on preventing or lessening the impact of an attack with people and technology investments. And speaking about the right of ban, security must also be prepared to handle the attacks that happen rapidly and effectively removing attacker access from business assets. So the part that is concerned with left of ban is implemented by Microsoft Defender, and the part that is concerned with the right of ban is implemented by Microsoft Sentinel. So Microsoft Defender is for preventing or lessening the impact of attacks, and Microsoft Sentinel is concerned with rapidly and effective managing attacks. So now if you were to look at the left bottommost part of the screen right over here, as you can see on my laser pointer, there's some infographic about Microsoft Defender and Microsoft Sentinel. And you might be confused about different products like Defender for Cloud Apps, Defender for Endpoint, uh, and Defender for Identity on one hand, and Microsoft Defender XDR, in which XDR stands for Extended Detection and Response. So let's first of all discuss the key differences between Defender for Endpoint and Defender for XDR. So Defender for Endpoint mainly focuses on laptops, phones, and endpoints like these. Whereas, on the other hand, Defender XDR provides a broader view by integrating data from multiple security products, including endpoint detection and response, network security, cloud app security, cloud security, and email security. So in summary, while Microsoft Defender for Endpoint focuses on protecting specific endpoints like laptops or mobile phones in this case, Microsoft Defender XDR, Extended Detection and Response, provides a comprehensive approach by integrating multiple security layers to provide a unified and holistic view of an organization's security posture and tries to automate that process as well. Now, you also must be seeing something which is called as Microsoft Sentinel, just after which it's written SIEM and SOAR. SIEM over here stands for Security Information and Event Management, and SOAR here stands for Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. And you also see Microsoft Defender, various Microsoft Defender products. So let's talk about the difference between Microsoft Defender XDR, Extended Detection and Response, and Microsoft Sentinel. So let's say you have a ransomware attack in your organization via fishy emails. Now, in this case, let's talk a bit about where Microsoft Sentinel and where Microsoft XDR, Defender XDR would come into play. So talking about Microsoft Defender XDR, your Defender XDR would identify and quarantine suspicious emails and malicious files at the endpoint level as part of detection, then connect related events, example phishing email and downloaded file to recognize them as part of the same attack via investigation, and then it would isolate infected devices to prevent malware spread as part of its response mechanism. Whereas Microsoft Sentinel would aggregate data from various sources to provide a comprehensive view of the incident as part of its detection, gather and correlate all related data, offering a big picture view as part of investigation, and then alert the security team and initiate automated investigations as part of its response. So, in summary, if we were to talk about the scope of these two products, Microsoft Defender XDR focuses on endpoint level detection and response. In this case, although it might cover other things as well. Whereas Microsoft Sentinel provides a broader centralized view and coordinates responses across the entire network. And talking about the functionality differences between these two products, if I were to talk about Microsoft Defender XDR, well, Defender XDR is more about immediate, detailed actions at the endpoint, whereas Sentinel is about overarching visibility, coordination, and strategic response. So, I'm also an instructor at Udemy with an instructor rating of 4.6, 265 reviews in total, and 2753 students and counting. And this is my link to my Udemy profile. Make sure you go over there and check out my courses. So if you want to learn more about security and AI using Microsoft Azure Cloud as the very fundamental and want to discover more on Microsoft related products such as Microsoft Intune for mobile device management, then you have Microsoft Sentinel for SIEM and SOAR, Microsoft Defender, Defender for cloud apps, Defender for endpoint, Microsoft Purview for information protection and governance, and Microsoft Entra ID for identity and access management. Make sure you go ahead and check this course out, which is titled Security Plus AI, Microsoft Azure. And this is the link to that course. And if you are really interested in looking or diving deep into the world of Azure OpenAI. If you're looking towards working on those grounds, make sure to go ahead and check this course out, which is titled as Azure Generative OpenAI plus Predictive AI, and that's the link to the course. So that's beautiful. It is a very beautiful course with 25 plus hour worth of content, in which you start from zero and walk your way through or work your way through to becoming a hero in the world of Azure Generative AI and Predictive AI. And if you have gone through the world of Azure Generative AI, I highly recommend you go through this course as well, which is titled as Master Azure AI Studio, Prompt Flow, LLM Ops, and RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So herein you learn about the ways you can collaborate. There's a Microsoft product. First of all, there's a Microsoft product which is called as Azure AI Studio, and it's for LLM ops, which is DevOps for LLM centric applications. LLM in this case is large language models, which are again GPT engines that are used underlying the chat GPT kind of applications. So if you're looking towards thinking on the lines of collaborations and LLM ops and building something which is called as Microsoft Prompt Flow, make sure you go ahead and check this course out. And I have my fourth course as of now in Udemy as well, which is titled as Microsoft Copilot World, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Purview, which gives you a comprehensive view of the Copilot world, wherein you get a detailed and concise explanation and beautiful demos on Copilot usage in Office 365, M365 Copilot, Edge Copilot, Copilot for Windows, Azure Copilot, then Copilot for Business Central, Copilot for Dynamics 365, stuff like that. And if you were to develop one of your own kinds of copilots, custom copilots to be general, you have Microsoft products such as Azure AI Studio, Azure OpenAI, and Copilot Studio, which is a low code tool. So if you were to develop something on those lines, I highly recommend you go ahead and check this course out. Again, which is titled Microsoft Copilot World M365 and Microsoft Purview. And that's the link to the course as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you enjoyed learning something informative, something new, and make sure you do check these courses out if you want to level up a bit in terms of AI in general. Thanks a lot.